What is up, everybody? Welcome to the last Friday mastermind of Q1 of 2023. We've got an incredible top producing for Deborah and I. You're like a legend for us, dude. Like Brian, we really like the way you operate. You know, you've got a real common sense, cool dude, cool process, but you're also really an operator. You know, the way you just kind of have that best of breed of high touch, high tech. We dig you. So just thank you for jumping on here and bringing the fire.
I dig you guys too, man. I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Right on. So guys, Deborah and I are going to close out the fourth quarter. So the last 15 minutes is going to be, you know, how the best of the best close a quarter. You know, we're closing out a quarter in a year, and how the best of the best launch it. So stay tuned for all that. For the first 3 quarters of this game that we're going to play, we're going to be interviewing Brian McCauley on specifically how is he getting new market share, how is he getting new realtor relationships right now, and then how is he optimizing and getting the most referrals from every agent that he has during the spring home buying season. So Brian, I've interviewed you before. Deborah and I have had you on this call before, but there are some new loan officers. There's some people that don't know you. Would you mind just kind of opening things up with who you are and a little bit about your practice?
Yeah, man. I appreciate you guys having me on. Appreciate the opportunity. I'm always thankful to help everybody. Brian McCauley in Dallas, been in the business for 18 years. All I've ever done, first job directly out of college, producing branch manager here in Dallas. Just a great team, a high touch, a high value technology /value/video guy. So happy to share some of that today and help whoever is watching up their game.
Love it. And Deborah, anything you want to say? Because I know you sent me a pretty cool little synopsis of Brian. Anything you want to say to people watching this to give them context about who Brian is and why they should tune in?
Well, one of the reasons why I really wanted to have him on today is because when we were preparing for the Modern Mortgage Summit, I'm always spot checking and looking at stats. And when I went back and watched y'all's May 2021 interview, and you were kind of talking about your team and just your use of social media, what I liked about what you said is it's not just like empty calories. You actually have the production and the credibility while you're building that online reputation. And so one thing that I noticed about you in comparison to some of the other studs that we had on stage is that your agent stack of how many are consistently sending you deals. And we had a call with Kai McBride about this as well with some of his top producers, but you have some whales that are consistently sending you business, and your stack is a lot thicker than most, while you still have, quite a few that send you 1 or 2 here and there. And some of that's just the market. But that's what was fascinating to me is you seem fearless when it comes to going after whales. You clearly have a process and a system of how you continue to nurture and attract those agents. And that's what I feel like there's a lot of pain points in the market from the LOs that I talk to. So we'd love to pick your brain and see how you're doing it.
Yeah, cool. I appreciate that. So we'll get into that here in a sec. I guess for everybody that's watching, the biggest component too, I want to give you guys a shout out of what you guys are doing for the community. The mortgage space is behind. It needs new blood, it needs oxygen, it needs new stuff. And so for the people that are out there watching that don't use MortgageCoach, sell Boomerang, everything that you guys do, you have to plug in there first. That's the first piece, which is, hey, get MortgageCoach, get Boomerang, plug in with these two. It's the difference as an LO of having a flip phone versus an iPhone. You literally can't compete. The gap is that big and it's only going to get bigger. So the technology piece, I'm saying like, yeah, getting wells, getting realtors, we'll talk about in a minute, but you got to have the technology. These two are amazing at it. I've been on it for years. It's why I've had the opportunity to get ahead, stay ahead, and keep the traction, but it has a lot to do with the products you guys offer. So thank you for that.
Thanks. And Brian, real quick, just so people kind of have a, how much production, have you done in previous years? What are you doing now? How many do you have? Just kind of lay that out real quick.
Yeah, context for me. So there's a lot of confusion around LOs, branch managers, whatever. There's no loan officers underneath me that are like closing loans, but the loans are in my name and I'm closing 5. And then, I get 5 from this person. It appears as such. I am like a producing branch manager, but I'm a supercharged LO with a big team. So everything that I do is all myself and the team. There's not anybody that ties into that. Production last year was, I think, 125 million. The COVID boom was like 160. This year we're tracking really, really well. March, I have 12 million, and April set up for 11. So again, that's about 20 to 25 closings. I'm probably about 60% realtor, 20% class client, 10% CPA, financial advisor, and probably 10% social. So that's my makeup, who I am, and kind of my numbers, so everyone knows how I roll.
So, and guys, there are a lot of loan officers that were doing 20 plus loans in 2020 and 2021 that are doing nothing close to that now. So, you know, kudos to you to go from COVID bubble 160 to, you know, your normal production and sustainable production of 125, like knuckles. Remember,
Wow.
folks, use these little reaction buttons here. You gotta love that. So I'm giving that a little love button. All right. And remember, community, any questions you have, put your questions in chat, whether you're watching this on Facebook in our group, whether you're watching this in Zoom, or whether you're watching this on YouTube as a recorded. You know, we want your questions, we want your comments. So kind of go to where Deborah went, and let's break down, I don't know, for 15 minutes, what are you doing to get new relationships? And are you only focusing on whales? You know, so why don't you kind of unpack that a bit?
Yeah. So two things I'll lead with before I answer that. So one, for every LO that's on here, I know they're going to have questions, wonder about video, whatever. If you'll follow me at Dallas Mortgage Man on all the platforms, IG, YouTube, all of that. It'll help you after this go look at what I'm doing on social, get a better feel for it, get a better feel for the value, and you can copy it, get ideas here and there. So that's the first thing. The second thing is I want everybody to lead with this mindset. Warren Buffett has a very good saying about businesses and the 3 I's. If you don't know the 3 I's, this is what it is. There's the innovator. This is the person with the brain that's smart with the systems and the processes and all the value. The second I is the imposter. The imposter says, oh, wow, this is a great industry. I think I can do that. And then the third I is the idiot. They get involved and they ruin it for everybody. And so what happens is when an industry is soaring, all 3 I's, the innovator, the imposter, and the idiot, are all making money. When the industry is on the downside, the idiots fall first, the imposters go second, and the innovators are left because they're the ones that actually have the value in the game and they know what they're doing, so they absorb all the market share. So for me, Dave, answering your question is, I actually like it when markets are like this because you are forced to show your muscle. If you don't have muscle, then you're going to get beat out. So the reason that I'm still keeping our numbers up and connecting with whales, realtors, and stuff we'll talk about in a minute is because I'm not a loan officer that's really a product of the market. When interest rates are at 3%, everyone's rocking, right? But it's much more than that. So I just want everybody to understand that component of it, right? So let's talk about the agent piece.
Wait a minute, man. Deborah and I get to do a little cheer. Deborah,
Yeah.
how did you like those 3 I's? Was that awesome?
Dude, was incredible. But you know, it's so true. And even if you watch his first interview where it was more geared towards the client, I mean, everything about Brian is a pro. If you watch his stories, and if you're not following him on social, make sure you are, but he's grinding in the morning. He still has a quality of life and a work-life balance, but he takes this seriously and he's a pro. He sharpens that saw. And so it doesn't surprise me that a competitor like you likes this kind of market because it's one that you get to really compete in and you thrive.
Yeah. And one last thing, I took a note, guys, when he said, you know, the flip phone, iPhone. And here's the deal, guys. If you are still giving a fee worksheet to your clients, here's your rate, here's your payment, here's your cash to close. When 80% of loans start with 80% of every mortgage in America starts with 2%, 3%, that's 63%, and then another 20% start with a 4. And if you're still delivering a fee worksheet, trust me, when it comes to the I's, you're not an innovator. And if you are not using your CRM, and if it is not monitored by Sales Boomerang, you're not an innovator. You know, like innovator equals iPhone. Again, you can still use an Android, so not throwing the Androids into the bus out there. But you've got to be using your CRM. You need to be monitoring that database, and you need to be delivering real data that has value to consumers so that they can go from, oh, I've got a 2 or 3%. Should I still move up? Should I rent out that house instead of and be an accidental landlord? You got to be doing that. So, all right, Brian, back to you, brother. Start unpacking some ideas.
Yeah, I think again with the agent piece. So what happens is in a market like this, everything that I've built, it elevates to the top faster. One, from a literacy standpoint, buyers, realtors, the financial component of affordability, interest rate buy downs, paying off debt, highest and best use of the money. It's everything that everybody needs to know because they're hypersensitive around this market and this environment. So you have to know that stuff. I've always known that stuff as a CMA, but when you're at 3% in COVID, that conversation doesn't come up. So now it's coming up more than ever, and you have to know that piece. So that piece in itself, whether you're working with existing agents or new, the literacy piece is important to help people understand how to see this market, how to take advantage, getting it all done. So I'm going to start there. When it comes to new agents or existing agents, we'll kind of separate these two. So the current agents that I have, whether they're whales, like Deborah said, or on their way up, a lot of the mortgage industry has fallen off. Not a lot of people are left, or whoever is left, sometimes if they're hanging around, they don't have much to say and they don't have a whole lot of value, and it's very needy and parasitic that they're asking agents for leads. And it's just not a really good reciprocity relationship. So for me, I've got so much to say and so much value to add that the conversations I'm having with them are always different topics, and they're valuable to their business on how they can create more opportunities, open more doors. I tell them, like, let me teach you a 2-1 buy down, watch my video, you say this to the outside world. So I'm constantly pouring into them to saying, dude, I'm trying to help you elevate. I don't even want to talk about loans like everybody else. How can I make you better and help your clients? And ultimately, that's the glue. So that's a lot about what I do when I talk about with existing folks. When it comes to getting new agents, there's a couple different ways people can do it depending upon where they're at in their career. Here's a couple easy ones for everybody, including me. I still do this. So for every contract that everybody gets, look up the listing agent on the contract. It's so easy. Give them a call, say, thanks for accepting our offer on 123 Main Street. I'm a fan of yours. I haven't worked with you in the past. Let me just tell you what you can expect over the next couple of weeks. I want to close this thing smooth and on time. And if I do, can we meet? Can we chat? I'd love to help you see where you're at, blah, blah, blah. You get contracts every single month, 3, 4, 5, 10, whatever you do. But if you're slow right now, go back over the last 6 months. Look at all the listing agents, make a list, call them and just say, hey, I want to call and thank you. I really appreciate the way that you work. You're a true professional. We close 123 Main Street together, blah, 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 blah. So that's an easy target list. You've got that information. You've got a warm conversation because it's around an existing or a previous closing, right? And it's an easy way to connect with them. And then you can also connect with them during the loan every week with updates. You're getting everything, the appraisal's in, smooth and on time. What'd you promise your seller? I'm going to help you keep that promise, blah, blah, blah. So that's an easy way to get new agents. If loan officers are like, I don't want to cold call, I'm not sure what to do, off the contracts. That would be an easy one on that one. Okay. Another easy one is most people like myself have 1 or 2 title partners. I really have 1. I ask the title partner, hey, here's what I need from you in the next 2 weeks. I need 3 agents that do at least $2 million on the buy side with home loans that you think are a good fit for me. And I want you to make an email or a text introduction. Now, the reason I do that is for loan officers that are watching this, you must qualify your agents, meaning you can't just take any agent, any deal, any business model. It's not a good fit for everybody. So if you ask a title agent or you call an agent that might be a good agent, but they don't have any business, you might not be able to get business from them, which is what you're trying to do. So whatever your metric and your minimum is, mine is you got to do buy side and you got to do at least 2 million a year, right? I'll call my title agent and say, hey, who do you know? This is what I need. Make the connection. They'll make the connection, the warm intro, and that's an easy way for me to get new folks. Now, I also promise them, hey, you connect me with Stacy, Bob, and Steve. Here's the minimum requirement, so they don't throw me anybody that's below that. But I say, once that's done, I'll introduce you to 3 of my top agents that are 5 million or above, and I'm going to send you all my refis over the next 18 months when the boom happens. So there's also a reciprocity exchange. I'm not just asking, I'm giving, okay? So those are the 2 easiest ones right up front for any LO at any pace in the business, because The contract has the listing agent, and they'll call you back because they want to get paid and they want to make sure it's all good. And then your title people see all the time what agents are doing well, what lenders are screwing up the deals and the opportunities, but give them a minimum metric. If that's how you roll, this is how I roll, because I want to make sure they do at least X. And then you can deep dive with them as well if they have builders and other people here and there. But those are 2 easy targets that every LO can do monthly to create conversations with 4, 5, 6, 7 agents and at least get meetings and figure out. And the reason you want the qualification of 2 million is because you want to make sure they have enough buy-side leads to where if y'all get in a relationship and get rolling, there's stuff there for you to actually work on.
Mhm.
Make sense?
Do you have I feel like most loan officers, and guys, if you guys are watching this live, make sure you chime in the chat or, in the comments of Facebook. But let's say you get so I like how you identify the list, because I do agree. I think a lot of people don't really know where to start. And those are 2 easy ways to call it a hit list, which is probably a horrible name for it. But then let's say you email them or you respond to the text or the call. Do you put them in your CRM, and do you have a certain process of your incubation process? And then how many touches until do you give up? Do you not give up? What does that look
It's
like?
a good question. So the reason I have the title agent make the connection, it's a warm introduction. If that realtor uses that title person and they have a relationship, and I use that title person and we have one, it's a triangle of trust, they're never not going to respond.
Mm-hmm.
Every now and then they'll respond and say like, oh, I've got a lender. I'll be like, cool, I'm shocked if you didn't. Does your lender call you all the time and send you referrals and do studios and TCAs and blah, blah, blah? They're like, no. So I piqued their interest there, but I never don't get a response. They 90% of the time always respond specifically with title. When it comes to a listing agent, they're going to take my call during escrow because they want to close smooth. They want to keep their promise to the seller and they want to get their commission. So they're going to listen to me and take my call and get it all done. But also I'm trying to date them during those 2 or 3 weeks and show my stuff. So I've got Jungo, I've got automated message, I've got video. So I'm physically calling and making sure they feel good, everything good, seller's all good. You get the updates from the team, no big surprises, appraisals in, value is good, blah, blah, blah. To let them know like, this is how I roll. And then I have my marketing manager, Callie, who's amazing. She'll send them a couple gifts in that little window as well, just to hyper hit them. So they're like, this is incredible. And I'm like, yeah, you're the listing agent. Imagine when I'm taking care of your buyers. If I'm calling you this much, communicating this much, sending you gifts and talking and closing smooth, imagine how well I'll do when we're partners. And I always ask them like, we should get one meeting for 20 minutes. And if you don't like me, I'll never call you again. But most of the time, because of the experience and the escrow process, they love what I have to say. I also know, I know the competition. I know what loan officers offer and what they don't offer. And most loan officers barely can close the loan, smooth it on time, and pick up the phone. That's the standard. If you go above and beyond that, which we do in every single deal, they're going to have the conversation. I think that's important. That's how I set that up. Now, once I land the relationship, let's say Dave is my agent. He meets with me. He's like, dude, you're amazing. You got social media. You got YouTube studios in your office. You're doing gifting. You know how to build a team, blah, blah, blah. So my follow-up process is I have a 90-day gifting program. So I get an all about you on every agent. It tells me all their stuff, wife, kid, this, sports, whatever, blah, blah, blah. It's what I call my cheat sheet. So I know what to talk about with them personally. I know what gifts to give them here and there. And then I put them on a 3-month program, which is I send them a book. I send them a lottery ticket. I send the ladies a plant that says, let's grow together. And then I send the guys a pen that says big deals only. So over 3 months, right, they're getting this stuff. I'm also calling them every week and sending them stuff, and they're getting my YouTube videos. But one of the things I ask agents on, it's nothing about loans. I just say, hey, what are the 2 biggest frustrations in your business right now? If you could add 2 things that make you more money and make your business better, what would it be and why? That's what I focus on. So if they're like, I need CRM, I need teammates, I need scripting, I need whatever, I make the list. And then I go back and I'm like, I'm going to help you solve those problems. So then what happens is I followed up, they're getting gifts, I'm talking to them, I'm helping get all this stuff done. The referrals are naturally going to come in, but I also ask them in the meeting, hey, you do a decent amount of business, just so I know on average, how many buy-side leads do you get per month? And they say 10 to 12. Awesome. So about 2 or 3 a week. Perfect. So my thing is, once we get done with the meeting, I say, cool, here's my goal in the next 60 days. I want to get at least 4 or 5 leads. I want to pre-approve at least 2 or 3, and I want to try to close 1 or 2 in the next 60 days so you can see our stuff. Because I can tell you how great we are, but it's kind of like me saying I'm a great kisser. The only way to know is for you to kiss me. So this is the reason I also qualify the agents to make sure they have enough. I ask them how many leads. I ask them about their business so I can be helpful and valuable. But also, as I'm talking to them 2 or 3 weeks into the process, if I haven't got the opportunity to show the stuff, the phone call is, how's everything going? I know you get 12 leads a month. It's been a few weeks. I haven't gotten an opportunity to take care of a client. If they don't have any leads, I weave into, here's how to get leads. If they have leads, but they haven't been sending them, I'm like, we talked about this. What's the deal? And so that's how I keep the glue there going. And then eventually they send a couple deals. They realize how crazy it is. And then I get into y'all's part, which is like, they're blown away with Mortgage Coach, total cost analysis, all these strategies, scenarios. The buyers are like, wow, it makes the realtor look amazing, professional, side-by-side comparisons, rate buy downs, saving money, all these things packaged together, edifies the agent, lets the buyer feel great. But a lot of times the buyer makes a decision to move forward where they wouldn't if I wasn't there to help connect that dot. So that's also where Mortgage Coach and the TCAs and what I call like financial overview, meaning like, don't put 10% down, do 5% down, pay off your car, do your credit card. Don't ask closing costs, don't ask off the price, 10,000 closing costs. Let me show you a 2-1. I can't do this without Mortgage Coach. That is my like also a huge, huge, huge component of what I can do and show them once we get to that space. Because if you land an agent, you want to wow them, and you got to keep hitting all these spots to just overwhelm them, make sure they're awesome and make sure they're happy in all these areas. And so that's kind of my process on new, how I get them, how I talk to them, find out their pain, show all my stuff through gifting, pre-approvals, TCAs, all this stuff. And then of course, as we get deeper in our relationship, I add even more value down the road. But that's a 101 easy box for people to understand as a starter.
I want to make this kind of tactical so people can execute this. And Paul Hurley just said, great info, totally usable. I'm going to give you a heart in a minute. I actually did a call, this week, Wednesday, with Jeremy Forcier and one of our trainers.
Love Jeremy.
And it was, really how to optimize your pre-approval in this marketplace in a way that you win realtors. And And guys, I will tell you how you can get these slides in a minute. There's a whole slide deck I have called Optimize Pre-Approvals. And it's got a bunch of Jeremy's scripts in it, like how to position yourself with the consumer in a way that's unique and different and valuable. But the one I want to ask you right now, because it's kind of like how you position yourself as a mortgage coach in a way that's valuable to a realtor. And Jeremy had kind of a bunch of different scripts. This is actually one I got from him last year, but he really makes the case that my advice helps your buyers gain clarity and confidence faster, so that they're going to have a bigger sense of urgency, and it's going to improve your conversion, or it's going to help them write a winning offer. How would you, first of all, do you say something radically different than this? Or is there nuance in how you say this differently?
Yeah, 2 answers to that. So I'm going to give you the philosophy, and then I'm going to give you what I say. So the philosophy about the way that I do pre-approvals and mortgage planning sessions and everything with clients is making sure that they understand how to buy a house, becoming a homeowner, but becoming a smart homeowner. And it's not just about the mortgage. Okay. So I'm weaving this all into my conversation, which is part of being a CMA, 6 steps to financial freedom, how to run a budget, how to create wealth, all of these things. This is the philosophy of like, I'm going to show you how to compound and get more poker chips quickly and do it the right way. So you understand that it's more than just about house keys, rate, and all that. Now on the conversation, I'm going through all this stuff as well. But when I get to the pre-approval piece, right, I want to make sure that I want to make sure that the buyer understands from an agent standpoint, their life is going to be easier, more professional, more successful, and grow with me as their realtor, as the mortgage partner for the realtor, period. As the buyer, I want them to believe and understand that their opportunity to get a house, make the right financial decision, know where to move the money, and understand how the game works is much greater by me being their advisor and their quarterback down the field. So those are the two things from a philosophical standpoint, how I approach it, the things that I say. The specific delivery, which we can do a round two on this some other time, I'll let you get into Django and we can scroll through and get it all done, is the only way to have that impact and show the outside world how the puzzle actually works is you've got to get into conversations with the TCAs, mortgage coach, all of that. But I call it front loading. So my pre-approval says, hey, congratulations, you're pre-approved up to X. I give everybody their max buying power, whether they like it or not. I say, hey, it's a bragging right. You can tell your friends, I can buy $1 million if I want, just as a feel good. Then number two is always my TCAs, always. So if I'm talking to Deborah and she says, hey, I said, what price range are you looking at? 600. Where did that come from? YouTube, online, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I say, cool, here's what I'm going to do. If you're looking at 600, we know you're not going to find a house at 600. So I do a low, medium, and high. And I say, I'm going to do 550, 600, 650. So you understand what $50,000 does at the bottom line, but there's no big surprises, eliminate all the risk and drive clarity. Two reasons, so they understand that. But the other one as well is when I send that out.
By the way, that's a total cost analysis. So
Correct.
you do a purchase price options kind of below their target, above their target, and almost everybody you do a spring home buying pre-approval with, they're getting the letter, maximum purchase price, and they're getting a purchase price options TCA. Okay.
Right. And the same concept on a TCA with down payment and stuff as well. The reason I do it is I want them to understand the options, but the other component is when I release that. So it says, congratulations on your pre-approval, big step in the right direction. As discussed, number one, you're good to go up to max buying power, 800,000. Per our conversation and your financial goals, please click this link here, look at your total cost analysis strategies, blah, blah, blah. That's part two. So they can look at it and see 500, 550, 600, no big surprises, okay? I also include the realtor on that for two reasons. One, I want the realtor to be able to know if they have questions on rate, payment, third party, hey, I'm asking for closing costs, what's the amount, they can go back to it. One of the things that LOs have troubles with is that nights and weekends, their people come back like, hey, I need 3 different scenarios, 3 different pre-approval letters. And if you got 50 people, it'll just eat all your bandwidth and you can't get to it in time to get it all done. And so by front loading, it's professional. You know, they're not going to find one on the exact price. It keeps you out of it. The realtors can go back to it and it looks super professional. They know the numbers, the details, the price point, and all that. And then the third thing I have on there is what's called an RX form. So an RX form is like going to a doctor and they're like, hey, this and that. So part of that RX form is to keep it in writing as protective for me. So in case somebody says, no, last month you said potato. And I said, no, I said potato. So the RX says like, are closing costs needed? Are they required? Are they not required? Things here and there. It's a little takeaway form. And all 3 of those are included on every pre-approval that gets sent out to the buyers and the agents. And then obviously a text message behind it. And then to make it super sexy underneath that is I have a video that I shot that's 60 seconds. It says, click here to learn more about this milestone. And it says, hey, what's up, Dave? Congrats, your pre-approval, big step in the right direction. So you and your realtor, Deborah, are about to go crush it in the market. Remember, payment scenarios here, blah, 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 blah. So it's there. So I front load all that. It sets the table for them. They're so happy. There's never any confusion on what it does to the price point, but they really have all the ammunition they need for the weekend. So when they're out there shopping and going nuts, if they have questions, they go back to MortgageCoach, the TCA, look at the scenarios, look at the closing costs, so does the agent, everything else is good. And also, if I'm competing against somebody else, the chances that another LO is doing anything similar, it's not even close. And so you can show the value. And part of my internal system is when I move the stage of a borrower to pre-approved, Salesforce automatically emails Tiff Treats. Within 24 hours, they get a dozen chocolate chip cookies to their house with a card and a balloon that says, congratulations on the pre-approval. We appreciate your trust. Enjoy the cookies. So they are wowed up front. And then what happens after that is I check in every single week on Wednesdays via text, via phone call, or the last thing I'll mention to everybody is I love YouTube. I think it's great. It's educational. People are long-winded. There's a lot going on in our industry, and you just can't really talk to that many people all the time. So I include these YouTubes weekly to buyers and agents about general topics. But anytime somebody has a question for me about hey, I heard you had a medical program, or what about the 2-1 buy down or 3-2-1 buy down? What about this? I go, yeah, of course. Here's my YouTube video for 17 minutes. Watch it. You'll love it. It's amazing. And then they can get in there and just watch it 100 times. They get to know me better. And then it compounds your time and your message and your brand. So all of that is part of my pre-approval process. There's more to it, but this is very important for people to know and understand to make the experience better, to separate yourself with the TCAs, the video, and then what I call front loading. So that way there's no confusion when they're ready to roll.
So
So I have to ask, oh, go ahead, Dave.
Oh, I don't want to take it off. I do want to make sure we have time. Paul Hurley asked if you could show one of your TCAs. He actually said show the max loan on the TCA.
No, not on the TCA. So the TCA is specific to the client's financial price point. On my pre-approval email that I issue, I give them max buying power for real. Because sometimes what happens is somebody wants a $500,000 house, or they think they do. And then they go to the market and they find one at 625, and they'll email me back on a Saturday, hey, never mind, I changed my price point. Can I qualify for this? So what I do is I add it to the pre-approval, which is saying like, I know you only want 500, but I ran your pre-approval, all the numbers, everything's good. In theory, you can buy up to 750 if you want. So if they need that when they're out in the market and they end up going higher than what they thought, they already know you can get here. If you're cool with the financial stuff, you can get there. So I do that on the pre-approval. The TCA is only unique to the conversation with the client. You want $600,000 price point, 5% down. I'm gonna do 550, 600, 650, low, medium, and high. So while you're shopping on Saturday and you find one at 575 and 625, and then what happens is they can go back and look what it does to the bottom line. So they don't have to wait. They don't have to rerun numbers. They don't have to come back to us because it's there.
Brian, what about this? Because I've interviewed hundreds of loan officers, and I've heard lots of ways, and by, super successful people. And sometimes, if it's a rate shopper grinder, they're showing interest rate options, like low points to high points. I have had where, loan officers where they show, hey, this is what you asked for. This is what you qualified for.
Of course.
And then maybe there's an option that's, a 2-1 buy down or a seller buy down. So, and the way I always put it, it's about tailoring it. And it sounds like you have kind of like a first chess move that you make a lot, but my guess is you also tailor the TCA. If you get some grinder that's like, hey, I talked to my bank and, they've, clearly it's been quoted at 2 points. Do you tailor some of your TCAs right now, or do you make 2 TCAs? Like you always do that one, and then you do the tailored TCA based on situation. Thoughts on?
I agree. It's all advice. Everything is tailored specific to the client. I'm giving the audience generic stuff, but part of how I tailor it is part of my conversation with the client. So if this is a client that, is a great client and I can hear on the phone that they're talking about saying like, hey, I want to get a house at 700, but I want to offer at 680, blah, blah, blah. I stop them and say, let me show you a higher and better use of the money, assuming you get a concession, blah, blah, blah. And then what I do is when I go do the TCA, I show them at that point, hey, 15,000 off the house versus 15,000 as a 2-1. Here's the side-by-side comparison. Here's the savings on the rate. Here's the savings on the payment. It's the same amount of cash from the seller. They don't care where you put the money. I do, because I'm helping you improve the position. Taking it off the roof of the house does nothing. Putting it into the financial plan as a 2-1 does a whole lot more. So to your point, I have to plug and play specific based on what the client needs and based on my mortgage planning session. And then based on obviously my advice on top of that, sometimes they're going the wrong direction. I pull them back in and say, don't lowball the house, do all this stuff here and there. So yeah, Dave, everything I do is tailored. How I figure out how I'm going to tailor it is through my conversation with the client. Credit, income, this, biggest fears. Do you have other debt? How long are you going to stay in the house? Best and worst case option. If you buy the house with no concessions, here's the suggestion and why. If you get a deal on the house, ask for it this way and why. And then I'll do 2 separate TCAs, sometimes a best case and a worst case. So, hey, if you don't get any closing cost or whatever, here's what it looks like. If you get 10K, here's the 2-1. And then that's another reason why I bring the agent in. I call it bring him into the financial huddle, which means if you don't tell them, hey, Deborah needs closing costs, or Deborah wants closing costs because blah, 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 when they make the offer, they won't know how to present it. And therefore it doesn't maximize the money for the buyer.
So one question I want to make sure we get answered. going back, so we get how you're using Mortgage Coach. How do you position it with the realtor? Like, and what is do you use any words or positioning like this? Or, do you have nuance to it, or do you have some different
specific to the pre-approval, right? What I tell the agents is what this is going to do. It's going to give the clients a ton of confidence, drive clarity around their options, make them feel better about the home buying process, front loads them with every tool and ammunition that they need out in the street each and every day. So there's no confusion. It makes you also look good. So you guys can go back to the roadmap to getting it all done. But I program them and educate them on that stuff. Part of my style is to educate and coach everybody, buyer and partner. Sometimes it's specific to the pre-approval. Sometimes it's to the market on how to get a divorce attorney for stuff here and there. And so everyone's on the same page and they're glued together on how to do all that. But these realtors also understand that part of the language. The buyers feel amazing. Now they feel good. The delivery's awesome here and there. So it makes them look better, feel better, and get everything done. So it's not so clunky. And that way everybody's going to the street and they understand how to see the world, see our industry. And it makes for just a better overall experience from start to finish.
Deborah, before we run out of time, we got 9 minutes left with Brian. Anything you want to make sure he covers or you want to call out?
Well, I was going to ask if you've seen Lender Launchpad. Have you seen how Denise had presented from the stage of really how she's marrying the pre-approval letters and some of the education that she does, and with some of the programs that you have with your wealth accumulation and the 6 steps to financial freedom? That would be a really cool tool to add to your tech stack with what you're already doing. I don't know if you've seen it or played with it. Have you?
Yeah, no, I know of it. It's on my radar. The thing I got incorporated, I finished it last night, is I got Chat GPT now incorporated into my texting, and it can start to come up with varieties of conversation with the buyer and the agent. So it's not robotic. So I still have things, down the line I'm doing, but that Launchpad is one I'm going to connect the dots with. I'm just so analytical in a fun way to where, like, I'm trying to put everything you guys have, plus what I see, all this kind of stuff together, because it just, there's no way to beat it. It's just how fast can you get it all incorporated and do it right to get it going. And the LOs that don't have it, I feel for them because I've been there when I was younger, when I was writing things on a legal pad, getting it all done. It's like, you guys have worked so hard to create this. Why people don't do it, I don't know. Oh, it's hard. It stinks. I'm like, what's hard and stinks is being in the same spot in 5 years.
Choose your hard.
Yeah, well, guys, clearly Brian is an innovator. You heard how he's systematically just adding new ways to differentiate and new ways to be more valuable. I mean, and to be more valuable at scale. Like, that's the thing I think of, the way he's using YouTube, be more valuable at scale. The way he's using Mortgage Coach, be more valuable at scale. The fact that we just heard that he's integrating Chat GPT into his platform. How can he be more valuable and be more personal at scale? So Brian, I know you got to jump soon. Is there anything you haven't shared that you think is cornerstone? I want people to be able to come from this call, have some really good ideas to recruit new realtors as a mortgage coach and to get more referrals from current realtors. Is there anything in the last 7 minutes here that you want to make sure you share or talk about?
Really, I mean, for every LO that's on here, 3 things to hyper focus on over the next 90 days. You've got to get Mortgage Coach, Sales Boomerang, all that stuff set up, period. Your tech piece is crucial. It compounds, it helps time, total cost savings. I just can't tell you, I couldn't do it without it. So that's part 1. Part 2, I would tell everybody, is get involved with video. I know people don't love video. It takes a little time. It's kind of weird, blah, blah, blah. Same thing here. I just happened to start in 2019. All you're seeing now is everything. It's a result of it, but you got to get in video. It's branding. You can message, you can do it better. And for people that say, like, I don't have time for video, it's the reason you should shoot video. It compounds your time. You know how many people ask me the same questions all the time here in their bubble when I send them to the channel, and they're like, this is incredible, versus talking to them for 26 minutes on the phone. It's, here's how to change a spare tire, watch it. That part. And then 3, coming specific to the agents, is just do a better job on qualifying who your agents are and who you want to attack and who you want to be partners with. Make sure they have the same mindset, making sure they're not commoditizing you, making sure they have enough business, making sure they're professional, making sure they care about growth, making sure they're in the same game as you. I tell everybody, like, the mortgage industry has, for lack of a better term, 3 buckets, like Old Navy, Nordstrom Rack, Neiman Marcus. Pick who you want to be. That's your model. Make sure and pick the right partners that are in the same thing. And that's how you merge and get better, whether it's existing people or new. But make sure on the new that they have enough business. Pick what your qualifier is minimum to get in the game, and then go out and talk with them. Get more value, help them with stuff, show TCAs. I teach a class called 50 Ways to Generate Leads Without Breaking the Bank. I teach it to agents. It's the #1 sniper class that I teach because they all need help getting leads, converting leads, having conversations, all these things. So the more you can pour back into them right now and help them outside of the loan stuff, buy downs, all the stuff here and there, if you can show them or help them to get 2 or 3 more deals right now and show them how to fish in this market, and they make $2,000 or $3,000 or $4,000 per commission, and you help them get 3 or 4 deals the rest of this year and they make 20K because of it, dude, that's value. So also LOs need to start working on value, and there's a million other ways to do value. And if we want to do a round 2, I'm cool with that. But I would start there as an LO, build on that, and then we can go deeper later when people want to discover more.
Hey, and everybody, if you like the idea I shared, give a heart, and let's see how many people think this is a good idea. Who would like me to interview Brian on the 50 ways he's helping realtors close more deals? If you want to hear that, give us a heart.
I do have a question, Dave, that popped up from someone who
Go for it.
they are consistently hosting classes. He said he's had over 400 real estate agents attend over the past 12 months, with more than half who keep attending. So it doesn't seem like there's a class value issue, but he's asking for referrals and he's not getting them. So he's asking, what is he missing? How does he better optimize the classes and getting people there, but then also getting better at the referrals and then actually getting them?
First of all, that's way too many people. Way too many people. 400 people is way too many people. You want to get 10 to 15 people, and you want them to be realtors that are local, organic, valuable in your style to get them in there. Make sure they have a sign-in sheet, get everything done. When they sign in, you can have it all about you and say, before I start this class, here's what I want you to do. Write down last year in 2022, what was your total volume? How many buy sides, how many sell sides, and how many families did you help? So you know. So you have 10 people, and then what you're going to do when they leave the class, you get all the forms and say, I'm going to reach out and set up a 15-minute phone call with each one of you. I want to know more about you, the business, how I can help, blah, 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 blah. And then when you have that form and you're calling them and talking to them, say, did you like the class, blah, 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 I want an opportunity. If they're not sending you stuff, be honest, say why. What am I doing wrong? What's somebody else doing that I'm not doing? Clearly you do business. Clearly you came to see me. You should give me an opportunity. We can help each other. What would wow you? What would let you give me an opportunity? Dig in deeper with those questions and ask, but 400 is way too many.
I think he's doing those via Zoom. What'd you say, Dave?
Oh, I think he said it was like a total of 400 over time, but
over the 12 months, but I think.
But less is more.
Less is more, less is more. If you have that many and you have their information, get a list, pull all their production, figure the details out, find out how they're using. If they're using a Denise or somebody else here and there, they've got a rock star. You're probably not going to pick them off next. If not, who are they? Use it and why, but look at their production and then call them and thank them and blah, 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 and say, look, I don't have room to take a ton of people. You do business. I like you. You came in, let's talk. 10 or 15 minutes, blah, 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 and be direct, be clean and easy. And then say, like, what do you hate about the industry? What would wow you? What would make you refer me exclusively? What if I give you 3 referrals? What if I give you a referral first? What if I show you how to do YouTube? Smaller, more intentional, direct with the people that have business that need help, get their commitment. Let's date for 60 days. I'm going to show you my stuff. But if you don't have any stuff, this is the issue. You're just like every other LO. This is why Mortgage Coach is incredible here and there, getting stuff done, home bought, all that. You can start there. And then on our next deal that you want to do, I'll show you everything under the sun. I can solve every problem for every realtor, period. Personal budget, how to do taxes, how to grow the bit, anything. It's just a matter when I say, what do you need now and why? They'll tell me, I'll fix it. They'll give me loans. I'll show them how to grow the business, more loans, tell their friend all of this. So it's just a matter of what's the deal? And if they're like, we want the cheapest rate in town, I'm like, cool, I'm not your guy. No worries. I appreciate the opportunity. If things change, holler at me. And I just lose fast because that's not my model.
Ooh, I like that.
Let you go. That little rant you just did was absolute gold. So for the innovation team here, let's think about creating some micro content from this interview. Let's get as many loan officers as possible through this content. Brian does have to go to a realtor meeting now. I want to honor his time. Give him a big hand, whatever emoji or reaction you want to give him. Brian, thank you for always creating value in this community, brother. Have a great weekend. Good luck.
Appreciate you both. I look forward to round 2.
Let's go.
See ya.
We'll be in touch. All right, guys. So I've had a few people ask me, how do I get those slides? So first of all, you can text.
Ooh, look at that. Colors.
799-0837. If you're not in my text group, you're not getting at least once a week, no more than 3 times a week. I'm sending a text at what I think is the most valuable content I'm creating. I can tell you right now, I'm going to be reminding the thousands of people that are in my mobile club about this interview. I thought it was pure gold. Also, just a reminder, all the links that I talk about, all the events we talk about, go to savageinsights.com. I'm moving this around every week, and the things that I think are, most valuable to mortgage coaches, to the trust engine community, they're at savageinsights.com. And that is also going to be the name of my podcast that I'm going to launch soon. So,
we're just going to like graze past that. We're not going to, did you decide on a logo?
I think I have decided which one I like. First of all,
I need your help, guys. If y'all are listening to this, go into the mortgage or the Trust Engine Facebook group and make sure you vote. He needs help.
I'm really shocked. So I posted it in our group, and I was shocked how much feedback I got. I posted it in my public, Facebook, which I don't post a lot on Facebook. Couldn't believe how much feedback I got. I'm like, put it on Instagram. A whole nother round of feedback. Put it in LinkedIn. And I literally was like, this is probably a waste. I'm probably not going to get a lot of feedback. It was really interesting how much feedback I got, and every channel, like I got incredible amounts of feedback. So first of all, thank you to everyone that did that. If you haven't voted yet on which of the 2, let me know. And Deborah, let's you and I take it offline, because I don't want to steal thunder from the topic you have now. I want to interview you for this next 13 minutes. What do you think our community should be doing between today and this weekend to close 2022, or excuse me, close Q1 strong? And what should they have ready to go to, start Q2 strong? What are your thoughts?
Well, first, you've got to be tracking your numbers so that you have something to look back on and go through, look at January, February, March. Which activities are you doing that's working, and which ones are you doing that aren't working? And sadly, I think there's still too many that either don't know what to track, or they're just not tracking, period. Or I have a coaching video that goes out today to my clients, and I had to give them some tough love today and put my coaching hat on and just tell them, look, I think we can do better. I don't think we are competing and dominating, which is something that I always tell our rock stars, like we dominate at everything we do. And that is every thought that comes in our head and every play, which is a sales activity or a social post. And the reality is, it's just, what if this is the new norm of inventory? Or what if rates aren't coming down? Because I feel like too many are just waiting for opportunity to occur, and they're not. What was it that Shayla said? Pleasantly, remember the word she used? It was pleasantly aggressive or pleasantly
aggressive. Yeah, I think it was like pleasantly aggressive. Let's go with it. That was the energy.
Yes. Where we can't just wait for opportunity anymore. We can't keep saying, oh, when rates go down, or oh, when inventory picks up. Like, what if it doesn't? How are you preparing your business today for if it doesn't? And so some of the things in this by no means, I'm going to share my screen real quick of just some of the things that I've given them. And guys, if you want a copy of this, let me know. But the first thing, and just to piggyback on what Brian was talking about today, is, do you have your referral pyramid? So this is a PDF that's fillable, that again is just you putting in, based off Q1, what slots do you have filled, and who's on deck, or who's on your hit list, so to speak. The other thing that I'll show, and this is not automated yet, and I know this looks really busy, so don't freak out when you look at this, but these are some of the things that I've been helping clients with. And it really came from the CMA a Day mastermind that we did, Dave, with Jeremy, where I'm asking them to keep track. Like, what are your attempts? How many calls are you making? How many DMs are you sending? How many email invites go out? What are the number of partner meetings? I mean, you guys can read this, but it basically goes through the entire process of just not just total lead count, but then how many still haven't applied? Why haven't they applied? How many have decided to wait? What's your process to incubate those who decide to wait? How many have actually applied? And then of those who applied or just have a credit pull, how many of them qualified and how many didn't? And if they didn't credit qualify, why didn't they credit qualify? Was it due to credit? Was it due to too many debts? Do you need to look at the student loan income recalculation? Like who is in your pipeline that if we just took care of the ones that we had at bats with, so to speak, could we eventually get to convert? And then going deeper to pre-approvals, how many do you have actually pre-approved with that golden ticket out shopping? And how long have they been out shopping? How many have you lost? And why did you lose them? Did they go to another lender? Did they go to a builder? What are your average demographics based off your book of business that you naturally attract? Then how many offers made? This was something I got from Ryan Grant from the Scriptapalooza that we did last year. They measured and kept up with their offer acceptance rate, which I was like, dude, that's genius. Because when you're talking to a client or an agent, you can say, you know, we're 13% higher than most other lenders in our offer acceptance rate. So how many get offered right away? Is it because you had a lender recommendation? Was it a video text that you sent? Did you use lender Launchpad? What are the average terms? As a loan officer, you guys are able to see way more deals than what most agents do. And so this would be great, you know, feedback to give them of like, hey, here's what we're seeing for an average on earnest money deposit or average with option periods, you know, blah, blah, blah. And then last is under contract. So how many total executed contracts? How many canceled? Why? Did you give pricing exceptions? This is important just for profitability. Some people will, you know, brag about the number of closings they have, but yet they're asking for a pricing exception on every deal. And then your performance. So, you know, average days from when you execute a contract to processing, days from processing to initial. And then the last one is once it closes, you know, what were your total number of closings? What was the funded volume? But also how many of those closings did you get 5-star reviews from? How many referrals? So this was a Jeremy Forcier tactic. Are you asking for referrals during the process and are you getting them? And then total number of trusted partner introductions. So with every single loan app, again, this kind of goes back to the gold mine of the loan app that Jeremy talked about. Are you extrapolating deals off of every single lead to then open up for opportunity for divorce attorneys, financial advisors, CPAs, you know, you name it, where you can then also give back to that agent who sent you the lead and say, hey, let's go talk to this HR manager and see if they have a real estate initiative for their company. Maybe we can go do a lunch and learn. And so those are some of the numbers. I know that's a lot. If you guys want a copy of this, just email me at marketing@plugandplaysm.com and I'll give this to you all. But we've got to know our numbers so that we know what's working and what's not working. The other thing is, I think, the mental game. If consistency plus patience, some want instant results and it's like nothing good ever comes quick like that. It's a long-term game and you've got to keep sharpening your saw, make sure you're time blocking, make sure you're winning by noon. And then your mind won't go to, oh, I just got lucky. It's like, no, you actually know which activities pay off and where your conversion is, and just small little tweaks can really help increase your conversion. Where in a time like now, I mean, every conversation, every lead, every referral, it all matters. Conversion matters more than ever.
So couple things, and I want to share my screen. I'll try to just be a minute or two and then let you close it out. So someone asked, you know, where they could get training on how to create templates in MortgageCoach. So I put a link to that. You can just go to resources, on-demand training, and, you know, getting started. You know, here's some, you know, 5-minute, 10-minute videos on getting started. And when you click on the intermediate training, you know, how to build feed templates, how to build product templates, highlighting. So anyways, just wanted to call that out as, get trained. So first of all, come into Q2, which will be the second inning, not the whole quarter, but this month was the first inning of spring home buying season. This coming month that will start tomorrow, it's the second inning of spring home buying season. And you need to come in trained, and you need to be able to deliver a pre-approval experience in a way that helps you recruit a realtor. And there is no better way to do that than to deliver a mortgage coach experience. And then when rates start coming down, because they are going to come down, all of these spring home buying deals can become a second deal. When rates come to 5.5, if you have sales boomerang, we're going to not only give you an alert that this client's in the money, it's going to create a TCA for you. The machine is going to start that TCA. But here's my one piece of mindset, and I'll try to deliver this in a minute. I did this interview a couple days ago with Coach Jason Abel, one of the founders of Rewire, with Mr. Scanlon, and it was called Mindset Selling. And he actually walked me through an exercise what was it? Like, it was a pretty short video. Yeah, 24 minutes. He walked me through an exercise that I'm personally going through this quarter. It's a 1-quarter exercise. You could literally start it. And he said, Dave, what are the things? And he said, write them down. What are the things, write down like 3 things, 3 to 5 things that if you did these things, 1, they would have impact in your business. Like, they'd really help you hit your goal this quarter. And 2, you'd really be proud of yourself. Like at the end of we're ending June. What are the things going to have the most impact and you're going to be proud of yourself about? And I wrote down these 3 things, and he goes through it. He went through the exercise. It took about 5 to 10 minutes. And then he broke down the science of the exercise. I'm not going to do that. Listen to the interview. And then he said, okay, now circle 1. And I'm like, give me a minute. I circled 1. And then, I said it out loud. Would you say it out loud? And I would push everyone to do that. Like, go through this exercise. And now I think most of you on this call, you need to do more than one thing to upgrade your game, to gain market share in this market. But I do want to make sure you guys are super clear on that one thing that will also, help you crush it. And you'll be incredibly proud of yourself. And you know what happens when you're proud of yourself? Your mindset takes care of itself. Like literally, there is nothing that's going to make you can't fake it till you make it. You need to be proud of yourself. You need to do that one thing. So Deborah, you got the last 3 minutes.
That was the other thing that I just wanted to hit on is, Q1 was tough, and mentally some people are beating themselves up because they are measuring their success just purely by the results. And it actually reminds me of conversations I have now every weekend with my son who plays baseball. In fact, I am usually texting Dan Keller like, dude, help me out, because I'm struggling as a parent with how many times most will strike out versus hit the ball. And what I was telling Champ is, part of being a champion is it's not always winning, but it's the journey and the process of how you get there. And so give yourself a little bit of that grace. If you're mentally beating yourself up and you don't feel good about yourself, then you're probably not going to perform well. So I think that interview, and I did put the link in the chat. Oh, I see you did as well. Start there. Make that your first homework assignment where you watch that mindset interview, and then come up with your 3 to 5 things that would make the biggest impact and would make you start feeling better about yourself. But when we tie our self-worth to just results and not attempts, because there's some things we just can't control. Like, I can control how many attempts of calls or, posts I make, but I can't always control the end result of people answering the phone. You can't beat yourself up for those things. But if you make your commitments, like if every day I'm going to call or I'm going to DM 20 people and I follow through with that, well, then my self-love and my self-trust goes up. And to your point, when that happens, you feel better and you naturally perform better. So take care of this muscle in between your ears, which is the one that we all need to build before any other muscle.
Right on. So it's been a great call. If you don't already subscribe to the Mortgage Coach YouTube channel, subscribe to it. If leadership, we're going to be doing more and more interviews for Trust Engine. By the way, folks, that is her son's name. So Deborah, what are your 3 sons' names?
And it's actually Boss's birthday today. So my first son is Boss. My second son is Champ. And yes, these are their real names, first names on birth certificates. And then what do you name the third one when they're old? The older brothers are Boss and Champ. So the third one is Legend. We almost went with Captain for Captain Jeter, but Captain, you can't yell on a field. You know, the P and the T gets me. So yes, Boss, Champ, and Legend.
Love it. So guys, have an incredible weekend, get your sleep. In this interview I did with Jason Abel, he also gives a sleep hack at the end, which I used and it works. I wake up sometimes like at 3 a.m. and I'm like, I don't want to get out of bed at 3. I want to get out of bed at 4 or 5. And so I had sometimes it takes me a few minutes. And anyways, he gives a killer sleep hack. Check it out. Get your sleep, drink your water, and Q2 starts on Monday. Let's go. Deborah Bird, you are a gift to this community. So grateful for you.
Have fun and play loose, guys.
All right, this call's a wrap.